In our first story, the Supreme Court has given the General Legal Council the green light to organize entrance examinations for admissions into the Ghana School of Law. This follows the dismissal of an application for an injunction filed by US-based Ghanaian lawyer, Professor Stephen Kwekwasari. Professor Asari, in June this year, dragged the General Legal Council to the Supreme Court, alleging they are in contempt of court for failing to obey an earlier order which held that the examination and interviews organized as a requirement for admission into the Ghana School of Law was unconstitutional. The five-member panel, comprising Justices Julius Ansah, Jones Doche, Eni Nieboa, Alfred Benin, and Yawapo, in a unanimous decision, held that the legislative instrument passed by Parliament in March 2018 is a law in force and therefore must be adhered to. Well, there's more in the following report.
The Supreme Court on July 18 struck out an application for injunction by Professor Stephen Asari, describing it as defective. A fresh application was subsequently filed with corrections effected. Lead counsel for Professor Asari, Kofi Bentil, on Thursday urged the court to show its authority by placing an injunction on the exam slated for Friday. He argued allowing the exam to take place will mean some individuals and institutions are beyond the powers of the court. But the General Legal Counsel's lawyer, Kizito Benyu, urged the court to dismiss the application. He said it was simply impossible for all qualified students to be admitted if the exam is called off. He further explained they are in touch with various institutions to ensure that they make room to administer the professional course. This, he maintained, should be done progressively, urging that the GLC must proceed a step at a time. The five-member panel, in a unanimous decision, held that no alternative arrangements are in place to ensure that students receive instructions if the injunction is granted. The courts further held that GLC stands to suffer more since it had long planned and advertised for the exam, which is set to come off on July 27. A member of the panel, Justice Jones Doche, was concerned about how opening up the law school could compromise quality. He said, quote, "It will be a joy to have the frontiers expanded, but you must ensure that standards are maintained." End quote. With the injunction out of the way, students who have registered for the exams are to show up at the appropriate venue to participate.
The high cost of rent in Ghana has become a major impediment in the growth of businesses. Well, though the law requires tenants to pay an advance rent of up to 6 months, most landlords demand 2 years rent advance before tenants could occupy their property. Well, in Kumasi, some businesses have decided to convert their cars into shops, from which they do their businesses. And Prince Apia is giving us a lot more details on this. We'll bring you the story subsequently. But in the meantime, kilos of tilapia fish from an aquaculture project in the Nabdam district of the Upper East region are being shared among the workers under the project. And this is due to the lack of market for the fish. The aquaculture project, which was started by an NGO known as Result in partnership with the Nabdam District Assembly, has thrived. Unfortunately, there are no buyers, and therefore managers of the project are often forced to share the harvested fish among the women who work there as their payment. JoyNews Upper East Regional Correspondent Albert Story has more on the next story.
Situated in a dam at the Dasabligo community in the Nabdam district of the Upper East region, this pond contains tilapia fish in large quantities. It is an aquaculture project funded by an NGO known as Result and managed by the Nabdam District Assembly. According to District Chief Executive Agnes Anamo, the project has thrived beyond expectations.
In all, we were all doubting. We said, how can we get fish? Because we were doing it the local way, to come in with the net and harvest. But this time they came and gave us a technology. That is what we are seeing here. We have tilapia in Nabdam, and today you will see how they cook it out.
To demonstrate for our cameras, the workers here harvest some of the fish. Unfortunately, there will be no buyers for all this fish.
Our major problem here is people to buy, investors. We are not getting. We've just called someone, we called one to come and see. She's here buying, but that is not enough. Today they would have harvested a lot. But in a day when they do it, they don't get anyone to buy. Now we use it, serve all the women groups who are into it, and the men, they go home to cook.
Talata Atinambiri is one of the women employed here to help in the preparation and packaging of the fish for customers. She tells Joy News the business was going well for them in the beginning, but the market suddenly slowed down. We could make money from that to take care of our children and cater for their needs in school, but we don't get any customers. Our only benefit now is we take some of the fish home to prepare meals for our families. So we are using this medium to tell everyone out there interested in buying tilapia to come here, she says. A kilo of tilapia here costs only 13 Ghana cedis, whilst one roasted tilapia costs at least 20 Ghana cedis in the restaurants. For the assemblyman of the area, restaurant operators around the Upper East region could make lots of profit if they came here to buy the fish.
Because this is the original one, devoid of any chemicals and very, very nice for consumption. So, but here's the case, when we harvest this tilapia, there's no ready market for it. And at the end of the day, we have to share it amongst those who are working here, the women and some of the men who are doing this job. Meanwhile, the result has done it very well by coming to our aid. As a result of this intervention, a whole lot of women who will always run down to the southern sector to look for greener pastures have remained here and ready to work.
So, what do you think happened to the tilapia that was harvested as demonstration for my camera? Well, your guess may be as good as mine. From Dasabligo in the Nabdam district of the Upper East region, Albert Sorry, Joy News.
Well, and let's return to an earlier story we were telling you about. It's about the high cost of rent in Ghana, which has become a major impediment in the growth of businesses across the country. Though the law, that's the current law we have, requires that tenants pay an advance rent of up to just 6 months. Most landlords, as we all know, demand 2 years rent advance before tenants could occupy property rented. In Kumasi, for example, some businesses have decided to convert their cars into shops from which they have to conduct their businesses. Prince Apia has more on the story.
Apart from hawking on the streets with various items, previously traders sold products like bread on tabletops and in shops. But high cost of rent in the country is compelling many to abort the idea of renting shops for their businesses. On the busy streets of Kumasi, 27-year-old Edu Moses sells bread. For 2 years now, he sells in a van and not a shop because rent in the metropolis is very expensive.
Oh, I think selling in this track is more profitable than the shop because as a young guy, getting the money, maybe 70 million, 50 million to rent a shop can be a little bit difficult for you as a young guy to get that money. So I think if you get a track like this and you just get a little place and park it somewhere, you can just make something small out of it.
So how much does one need to rent a space in Kumasi? Abuaji De Nyansa is CEO of Danny Wise Estate and Construction.
If it's a 5-story structure, okay, the ground floor, because of proximity to customers, okay, and it's easier for clients to access, the cost is quite expensive. So you could have a shop, one with a measurement of say 4 by 4 meters or 3 by 4 meters, going for on the ground floor, going for 100,000 Ghana cedis. Then as it rises, it becomes cheaper. So most of the shops on the top floors, which is the 4th floor, the 5th floor, pay as much as 50,000 Ghana in the central business district.
Many upcoming businesses cannot afford these rates.
"46 people have picked up forms to contest for 15 regional executive positions of the NDC in the Upper West region. And the list includes incumbent chairman Matthew Sangabo, who many in the party blame for the party's poor showing in the 2016 general elections. Though he's denied those allegations since, he needs to beat his old foe, who is a 48-year-old businessman Abdul Nasirul Sani, to keep his position and also lead the party to the 2020 polls. JoyNews Upper West regional correspondent Rafiq Salam takes a close look at the contest scheduled for next month.
The race for the regional chair of the opposition National Democratic Congress in the Upper West region is between two personalities who know each other very well, two old foes. It is said to be a neck-and-neck between incumbent chairman Matthew Sangabo and 48-year-old businessman Abdul Nasir Mohammed Sani. For Abdul Nasir M. Sani, it is time for revenge after he placed third 4 years ago in an election that also had 3 others contesting. Bonas, as he is called by many of his supporters and relatives, is campaigning on the back of the poor performance by the NDC in the last election. The NDC did not only lose popular votes, but ceded 5 of the 10 seats previously held to the New Patriotic Party. Speaking to the media after he was accompanied by a sea of NDC supporters to file his nomination to contest for the second time, Bonas noted that the only way the NDC can reverse the embarrassment and humiliation is for the party to unite and vote for change.
If you are not united, you can build a solid house. You know, what happened to us is disunity. And then I'm coming in to unite the party so that we can pick all the 5 seats back. Everybody should do clean campaign so that whoever emerges, we can become united.
Former Ghana's ambassador to Mali, Mahmoud Khalid, is rooting for the 48-year-old businessman to win.
And I'm optimistic that he's a person we can sell in the primaries, and he's a person that we can sell who will be able to take up the mantle for this region. This is not to say that there are not others, but among the others who are capable, there will be one person, and I hope that Bonas can do it.
The pomp and pageantry that characterized the filing of Chairman Bonas was missing when his opponent, Matthew Sangabo, came to the party office to file. Only a handful of supporters were present. He said he cannot solely be blamed for the party's defeat in the last election.
Even the president lost some seats and is going to go back again. So I think the matter is not just for one person. But of course, they say an easy lies the head that wears the crown. So if you are the head, people are going to say all sorts of things. But we know in the NDC, and indeed beyond the NDC, the reasons why we lost the 5 seats. And that is the reason why I'm going to come back and retain and bring back all those 5 seats.
4 persons have filed their names for the position of the regional secretary. For most people, it is a contest between 2 sworn enemies, former Jiroba District Chief Executive Kletu Sedu Dapla and lawyer Charles Luanga Puozum. Both of them hail from Jiroba constituency. However, incumbent secretary Dominic Zineyele and his predecessor Eric Fan Badakura will need a penalty lack of Ivan Rakitic to pull through. The women's organizers' position is being contested by the incumbent Hajia Salamo to Cecilia Hamza and former member of parliament for Lambuse, Alice Boone. In all, 46 pupils have filed to contest for the 15 executive positions slated for next month. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam.
And before we go, hundreds of Ghanaians trooped to the Accra International Conference Center on Thursday to file past the remains of former Vice President Kwesi Bekwemi Arthur, who passed on after collapsing In a gym last month, former government officials, the rank and file of the NDC, as well as former ministers in the John Ejekum Kufuor administration, they paid glowing tribute to the former vice president. Maxwell Agbagba was there in our reports.
5:45 Thursday morning, after waiting for close to an hour at the Liberation Circle, the cortege accompanying the body of the former vice president to the Accra International Conference Center shows up.
Accra International Conference, Center has been prepared. Now, two colors, red, black. Earlier when we were there, I counted about 20 marquee tents at the Accra International, Conference Center. There are some marquee tents also at the forecourt of the State House. So these dispatch riders and then some family members are accompanying the remains of the former Vice President Kwesi Bekwe Misata.
Five men are standing very close to one of the giant pictures at the entrance of the conference center. As music is food to the soul, one of the men plays a flute. Soothing as it may sound, it induces tears from already teary eyes here. People from all walks of life have come to pay their last respect to the former vice president. Many say Kwesi Bekwe Misata was a unifier.
For me, I know it's a difficult time. But
Gloria, Senior, I'm the media coordinator and the office of the president, the former office of the president.
So how close were you to the...
Very close. He was my friend when he was the governor. Like brothers and sisters, he was like a father to me. So when he came as a vice president, it was very closer than before. He's jovial, his jokes. Not like the usual president type of thing, no. Miss him.
Miss me boa, miss me boa, miss me boni.
Miss me boni.
Miss me boa, miss me boa, miss me boni.
Miss me boni.
Miss me boa, miss me boa, miss me boni.
Former Defense Minister Dr. Kwame Adukufuor believes young people should learn from his exemplary life.
Very decent gentleman, very patriotic, very hardworking. Many people know he was also very honest, and he treated everybody with courtesy. That's why he was so highly regarded. Yes, I hope he becomes a role model for some of the young politicians, so that the adversarial attitude that now is widespread in politics goes down.
The minority members in Parliament were at the funeral ground to also pay their last respect. Yes, leader Haruna Idrisu.
He's gone with his humility, he's gone with his compassion, he's gone with his depth, appreciating economics and finance. And for me, essentially, he was a cash flow and liquidity wizard and contributed immensely supporting Dr. Kwesi Bekwe at the time for the necessary and compelling transformation of the Ghanaian economy.
Aspiring flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, Alban Bagbin, says leaders of the NDC must emulate the exemplary leadership qualities of Mr. Misata.
We losing leadership as a party. NDC was known to have strong leadership, strong, very, very focused, visionary leadership. These days, we are like cut in pieces, and we're trying to pick the pieces together. And that is why some of us are even coming up to try to give leadership. The party is poorer, its members are worse off than we started in 1992, and you must be asking yourselves, why?
Now let's move on. And we all know that the burial and final funeral rites of the late Vice President will be taking place today. So we'll be there. We'll bring you live and a comprehensive coverage right here on the channel and also on the show. Well, stay with us. We'll be doing review of the newspapers. The boys and girl are ready. We'll be looking at important stories, particularly those relating to double tracking, multiple tracking, and all the things that have got to do with senior high school. Stay with us. We'll be right back.